It is time to have a new conversation about our community, our history and heritage, our fighters and heroes. Time to highlight opportunities for growth within our community, home, and abroad. This is Black Ethnic Minority Stories told by real people. This is The Mint Show.
Welcome to The Mint Show on Mint TV, the Table Shaker platform that brings you the Table Shaker voices. We're going to be touching on African matters, issues that concern the BAME group in the UK and around the world. Welcome. Today we've got Lola Akinsanya, the 26-year-old social worker, moved to the UK at the age of 12, currently a counsellor with Stand to End Rape, an NGO in Nigeria. We've also got Yinka Ojeniyi, 30-year-old commercial manager in quantity surveying, left Nigeria at the age of 6, lived in different continents to include Asia due to the nature of his parents' job. And then we've also got Kenny O, 25-year-old compliance manager, born in Nigeria, moved to the UK at the age of 10. Kenny O is the owner of a YouTube channel called Kenny O. Right, so down the line we're going to have Olatunji Ibrahim Abiola on the phone from Nigeria. Tuji is a 38-year-old academic auditor in Lagos, Nigeria. Just to give you a bit more detail about what this program is about, it's all about our voices, African matters in general. We will touch on Black Lives Matter. Basically, the program is being inspired by that very movement. We'll be talking about Africans in diaspora and should they be looking back into Africa as a continent. Is it all bad news from Africa? Lola, let me start with you. Do you think it's all bad news from Africa or from Nigeria in specific?
I think what the media shows us is mostly negative, or as you said, bad news. But I think when you're involved in Nigeria, even when I was born there and I grew up there for part of my childhood, actually going back now as an adult, I can actually see some progress.
Right.
I mean, I do think there's still a long journey ahead, but I think things have moved on a little bit, but there's still work to do. So I wouldn't say it's all bad news.
Right, so tell me about the Stand to End Rape NGO. You're a counsellor with them. What is that about?
So basically it's an NGO that was started by the director. She was basically a survivor of a sexual assault some years ago, and I think that really inspired her to want to do something about it. So I think some people might have seen that BBC show, I think it was last year, where it was talking about sex for grades.
Right.
So she was one of the people that really championed that and was part of the production of that. So we've Stand to End Rape. We have different departments. So we have the legal department, communications team, and also the mental health department, which I'm part of. And what we do is that we get referrals. It could be self-referral or from a different organisation of mostly women. Obviously men as well can be referred to our service where they've been through domestic violence or sexual assault, and then we support them with their mental health, support them legally as well in terms of getting justice basically against the perpetrators. That's what we do. So I do it virtually from here, and I also work on projects with them as well, with like recruiting new counsellors and coming up with like toolkits that we can give to survivors as well to help them stay well.
How do you then juggle that with being a social worker?
I mean, luckily it's similar to my job. So I work in mental health here at the moment as well. So when I'm a social worker, I currently work as a mental health clinician in the child and adolescent service. So because I'm already doing similar things, and I'm currently studying to become a family therapist. So there's a lot of stuff going on at the moment, but it's all part of my passion.
Right.
So because I'm passionate about it, I always find the time. So when you really care about something, I think you do end up finding time. So my weekends, my evenings, ideally start to do work for the NGO.
Right, brilliant. Yinka, you're a commercial manager in quantity surveying, and you've moved around quite a lot.
Yes,
You got into the UK at the age of 6. How are you finding it?
I'm finding it well. I mean, I've been back to Nigeria since then.
Right.
I went back as late as 2018, and it's when you've travelled around the world, you tend to see how, you know, being black, how that can sort of affect, you know, how it affects you, you know, in different areas of life, whether it be work, whether it be socially, and it's quite an experience actually, and you know, I'd love to be able to share that with people, you know, especially in Asia, how being black was in Asia. I also lived in Australia as well. That was a quite an experience for me. So, and then when you come to Europe and you realize that, okay, obviously there are more black people in Europe, but again, that still has its challenges as well. So, no, it's actually quite interesting, and it's something I'd like to share. Yeah, definitely.
Right, brilliant. Kenny O, you're a compliance manager at the moment, and you have a YouTube channel called Kenny O. What's that about?
Yeah, so my YouTube channel is actually a very skincare focused YouTube channel, and I cater specifically to skin of color, because I think that skin of color is quite underrepresented when it comes to like skincare and just in the cosmetic industry. And coming from someone who has struggled enormously with like self-confidence issues because of my skin. I've suffered with like horrible cystic acne, and just finding a solution to that as a young black girl was quite tricky. And you know, there's times where you go to the hospital, you get misdiagnosed because they're just not used to your kind of skin. So I think it's really important that, you know, someone like me, and even a younger person, or even older people my age that do suffer from skin problems, you know, they do have a voice, they're represented, and there's content out there that caters specifically to them. So that's what my YouTube channel is about.
Okay, so what I'm getting from here now is you touched on skin color and how that has affected you. And the fact that the society, or I should say, the healthcare circle is not really used to that colour in order for them to be able to find a solution to it. And then Yinka, you also touched on living in different part of the world and how that has affected you. Do you want to talk us through your experience living in Asia, living in Australia, and being a coloured or a black boy out there? How do you think that's affected you?
I have, like I said, sort of different experiences. So some of it is a positive experience because I was kind of able to learn quickly about how, you know, you have to work sort of harder than a lot of people. You know, you get singled out quite early. So you tend to sort of focus. You have to focus on what you kind of need to do. But I would probably say in such a negative aspect, there was a lot of I felt you can feel lonely because you don't have a lot of people to kind of relate to relate.
You're not an only child, so do you not have that family support network?
You do have a family support network, obviously, and you can relate with your family, but there are some times where your family are not around all the time. So especially, you know, when you're in school, and you don't there's no representation for you in any sort of things, whether it be books, whether it be on television. You know, as I feel like as someone who's young, it's empowering to see representation no matter where it is, whether it be on TV, whether it be on books. It makes you feel like, for example, you know, sort of when this whole Black Panther thing came out, I think young kids now, they can see that, okay, wow, I can be a superhero, I can be this, I can be that. Whereas where I was kind of growing up, we didn't have that, especially living in these all kind of countries. So, and you know, I mean, the racism was always there. That was quite hard at first. Sometimes, you know, when you're a child, you don't tend to clock on as to if someone's been racist or if the environment around you is being racist. It's not until you kind of reflect when you're older that, wow, maybe that time this was what was going on. So it was, like I said, I have positive and negative experiences, but it definitely sort of that's why I'm quite passionate now about about lending my voice and
Right.
giving my experiences towards racism and towards the Black Lives Matter movement, and also with what is going on in Nigeria, because I feel like we all need to, rather than being divided, we all need to stand together as Black people, especially because with what's going on in the world, we are quite disadvantaged, and we need to be not divided. We need to be together in order to sort of perpetuate our causes.
Right. Have you been? You did say you've been back to Nigeria
yeah.
since then. How often would you say you went back to Nigeria?
Well, I hadn't been to Nigeria once. So since I left, the first time I went back was 2018. So it had been so it had been a long time. But when I went back, like it kind of felt good. It felt good to be back, and just sort of, I feel like it doesn't matter how long you've not been back to Nigeria, you'll always feel a sense of home when you get there, regardless of whether you were born here. Even if you weren't born in Nigeria, you'll feel like, oh, I'm somewhere where I feel like home. Do you know what I mean? And I feel like every Nigerian in diaspora, every African in diaspora should strive to want to do something back there.
It is time to have a new conversation about our community, our history and heritage, our fighters and heroes. Time to highlight opportunities for growth within our community, home and abroad. This is Black Ethnic Minority Stories told by real people. This is The Mint Show.
There's been a lot of stigmatization on Nigerians. Nigerians are doing brilliantly around the world. Amongst Nigerians, you'll find world-class doctors and lawyers and entrepreneurs. But the thing is, one bad egg it then sort of tagged everyone. There should be something your commission can do about this.
Yes, we are making a conscious effort to carry on that message that one bad apple should not spoil the whole bunch. Definitely not. So, at Nigeria 60, we said, let's come up with some names of Nigerians that have done well. So we said, well, let's make it 660. I tell you, if we said 6,000, we won't still have so many more that we haven't even been able to touch. So what we have to do is, nobody will tell our story but ourselves. So first thing is, we're doing a lot of work on celebrating these good stories. But bad news travels fast.
Definitely.
You have to spend money on telling the good story, but the bad news,
Yeah, I agree.
So what you just said, we're looking out for this, and it's amazing. This month alone, and we've got the president a lot of times now sends his own messages to them of goodwill, of congratulations and encouragement. And the more you do that and tell the whole world and yourselves that, look, this is who we are as a people. And then, for instance, in South Africa, I was talking with the High Commissioner recently. Like xenophobia in South Africa, but doesn't make every South African xenophobic. There's crime committed by Nigerians in South Africa, but it doesn't make every Nigerian a criminal. So that story needs to be told. So we are working with some agencies here of government to tell that story. It's going to be quite a lot of work to do. We need to push our stories out there. And the beauty of it is that there are too many beautiful stories, which we have started. And which will continue and make sure we build on so that we sustain that. And we want to work with media partners to ensure that those stories are told. And it's amazing. And we're also telling Nigerians abroad that if you're succeeding so much abroad, we need you also to partner with us at home. In fact, that's why you even get more of the encouragement and the stories being told, because this is home. So that partnership is what we're encouraging.
I want to touch on Nigerians in diaspora looking at coming back to Nigeria, looking at finding their roots. I'm sure you're aware of the Black Lives Matter movement. A lot of Nigerians don't feel at home where they are, but then that option of coming back to Nigeria is also not there. They see it as a big risk, loss of livelihood, losing the system they've always been used to. Some Nigerians are even born abroad. They find their roots, but they just, when they get here, they feel at home just visiting. But how would they integrate into the system?
Well,
where do they start from?
We should take it step by step. Now, here's a way. I don't even say pack your bags and come home. And don't forget that we also have the historic African diaspora, who were taken away as slaves, whose ancestors were taken away as slaves years ago, who want to come back home. And we have a program called the Door of Return that takes place in Badagry. And it's an emotional event where they come, they walk through the path where our ancestors were taken away as slaves. Then they return and we receive them as kings and queens, taken away as slaves and received. It's a very emotional event. So for me, it's like for Nigerians abroad, just start by even thinking about it, talking about it, and seeing ways that you can connect. You don't need to come to Nigeria immediately to connect, but you can have a connection. You have the Nigerian Diaspora Commission now, you have relatives, you have family, and then for those who have come, look, anything can happen to anybody at any point in time. It's not because you came, but however, at the end of the day, it's worth the risk eventually. So you can come, go back, take a look at what you can do or not do. We've had people who just came to do their youth service and refused to return. So there are different stories. You've had those who will tell you stories of, how they're so glad that they returned. Even our artists, Banky W, Don Jazzy, and all that, if they remained abroad, they couldn't have been the stars they are today. So it's not compelling. It's a decision you need to take on your own. But however, we will see what we can do as Nigeria Diaspora Commission to guide you, to work with you. We have a Nigeria Diaspora Alumni Association that guides people that come. So really, I think on the long run, it's your decision to take. But at the end of the day, it's worth it. I'll tell you the story of a doctor who came in from South Africa and set up here in Nigeria. His very first surgery, thank God he just finished the surgery, electricity disappeared.
Wow.
And that was, it was in darkness. But he had finished the operation. And the generator did not work.
So what happened?
No, but he had finished the surgery.
Right.
So thank God he had. If he hadn't, he would have had a disaster on his hands. So he would tell you the story. But today, he's been home now for almost about 10 years. And he's doing very, very well. So what I'm saying, there are different stories to tell. But it's your decision to take. But we are telling you the opportunities are here, the opportunities are there. You can do A, B, C, D. But at the end of the day, home is home. But our message to Nigerians in diaspora is, let's see the areas we can work together, because subsequently, for a lot of them, you want to retire home.
But it should be in your commission as well to actually take the center stage in putting up something, a link, a way, open up the door.
That's what we're doing that. We are setting up a Nigerian Diaspora Investment Trust Fund.
Okay.
So that wherever you are, you can decide where you want to invest. We have the Nigerian Diaspora Investment Summit, where we will show you areas you can invest. We're working on a mortgage policy so that in the comfort of your homes, you can get a mortgage and buy a home in Nigeria.
Even though they're not based here?
Yes. So you can have a home, which is the first step. So have a home, get a mortgage. We're working on that. And then some states are offering you land, property. Abuja here has offered a diaspora medical city. So there are many things. So we will show them, guide them as a one-stop agency. We have various teams and committees that are working on that. But it's not a by force kind of thing. And we also compile those who have come and I've said, I thank God I came. Is it a perfect system? No. But that is all the more reason why you need to partner and do what you can so we can build this country together.
I think a bit more needs to be done on the awareness of all of the schemes here, because
it
sounds really interesting to me.
It's a gradual process, and we're working at it. You go on social media, you read all sorts of things, but you also go there and say the positive. So we'll keep working at it. And the message is that this is home anyway. And don't forget also the historic African diaspora who are desperate to come back to the motherland. Just a few days ago, I attended a wedding of an American who did his DNA, he's Nigerian, he's changed his name officially to a Nigerian name, He has an Igbo name and a Yoruba name, and he looked for a Nigerian woman.
I need to talk to
found
that guy.
one, and he's back home. He's home. Yes, are there challenges? Definitely yes. Definitely yes. But like I said, the decision is ultimately yours, and we will try to encourage, and guide you in terms of returning home.
It is time to have a new conversation about our community, our history and heritage, our fighters and heroes. Time to highlight opportunities for growth within our community, home and abroad. This is Black ethnic minority stories told by real people. This is The Mint Show.
Mint TV, bringing you the true and independent view.